Alrighty, uh, we're back for episode 2. Even though technically it's the third episode, it's the second because the first episode was labeled 0. Wow, it's gonna be confusing to people.
Can we just pretend that it doesn't exist?
We just pretend 0 doesn't exist, ignore everything. Alright, well, it's time to repeat what's from episode 0, right? No. Just redo
Oh
it
my
as
god,
episode 3 or 4.
you have no idea the amount of things I haven't talked to you about, which I saved up for the podcast.
I see the show notes.
There's something I haven't showed you yet.
What haven't you showed me?
Okay, so it happened today, and I'm pretty sure you know how I look like, right? Like just a good memory of what I look like.
No, I see you every day.
Uh,
I totally don't know how you look like.
um, well, basically, um, I think you're in for a little surprise. Here, I'm gonna send it through Skype.
Uh, for how you normally look like? I mean, I know how you look, dude. I see you every day.
I don't. You know what? I just sent it. You tell me.
New haircut. Nice.
Yes, I got a new haircut, and I love my new haircut.
Nice. See, I'm still sticking and rocking the emo hair. I just need to like my hair. I just need to dye my hair. Uh,
Well, the
soon.
reason why I got the haircut was because my hair was too long and it didn't fit what my beard looked like.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and now it fits with the beard.
Now people get a picture, starting to get a better picture of how you look like.
Yeah, you have an emo hair, and I have hair with a beard.
Yeah, I need to dye my hair black with I'm planning on doing blue tips. Now people are hearing that I'm
Ooh.
really emo. I mean, to be
I
fair, I
could
am
just
a stereotypical teen. So, well, some people I would be, some people I wouldn't. It all depends. I'm a stereotypical emo kid. I listen to metal music and screamo music in particular, or punk music of some sort, and electronic. But hey, you know, people are getting a better picture of who I am now. So that's the important
yeah,
part.
you're just some sort of weird emo kid getting blue tips, listening to rock music.
Life is pain and meaningless.
Isn't it always?
This world is nothing but a simulation. Just go completely like I just saw the Matrix.
You did see The Matrix though, didn't you?
I rewatched the Matrix again recently as
Uh,
I kind of wanted to see what my opinions were of it now. I thought I liked it, but I certainly have my issues with it. However, after watching only half of Reloaded, I realized that the first one is a lot better than what I gave it credit for originally, because it actually flows.
I only watched the first Matrix, and I saw it when I was like, I guess I was like 10 at the time,
Yeah.
and I liked it, and I remember that I liked the visuals, but I never understood what was actually going on. It was only like after like a couple years later, I was like, oh, so that's what that meant.
Yeah. Needless to say, if you watched the first one and was sort of iffy on it, whether it was a good movie or not, then you watch the second one, you'll realize that the first one is a good movie because it's actually paced well. It has a flow of a beginning, middle, and end. Reloaded just feels jumbled. That's the best way to put it. It feels jumbled as a movie because it just there's so many. I think there's ideas that they want to shove in and didn't know how to make a good narrative or not even really know how to create a really great story because of how Matrix 1 ended. Matrix 1 ended fine. It was a self contained story. They didn't need a sequel, but they were forced to. So they had ideas of what they were trying to do with it, but they didn't have a story to go along with it and really just kind of had to make something. There's also, if you get what I mean. Like, do you get what I mean?
You know what I think?
What?
I think I'm glad I didn't watch it because it sounds like a total waste of time.
It isn't.
It isn't?
It's not a waste of time for a few reasons. One, there were some absolutely hilariously badly done scenes, or just hilarious plot elements that are just so funny to laugh at. Second, there was a great action sequence that really helps redeem the movie. That is a complete car. It's a car chase action sequence, but the way they use the Matrix to their advantage is so really cool and unique. And everyone praises this about the movie, and I see that. It's really good. It's so unique and interesting of what they decided to do. It shows that the directors knew what they were trying to do with this action sequence and knew how to use the Matrix as a element to further the action. Instead of, oh, they program whatever program they want to put in you and then you automatically know a different fighting move. They use what knowledge they have of manipulating the Matrix to their advantage, and it's really cool. So, and
Still
it's
sounds like a waste of time if I'm just gonna watch the clip of the action scene then. If there's no
well,
story.
there's a lot of cool action sequences, even if they're a little bit cheesy. There's a lot.
Alright.
Sometimes hilarious, but they're all pretty interesting. A lot of the philosophy stuff is kind of weird.
Kind of what? Weird?
Like, there's this one scene when they're in the when they're in like this park type of place, and
Spoilers, spoilers, stop. I'm sorry,
it's a
just keep
movie
going.
that was out in 2003. Come on, that's like spoiling Citizen Kane. It's been out since like what was it, 60s? Was it 50s?
Wait, hold up. Citizen Kane, is that the one with the rosebud?
I believe so. So it's widely claimed as one of the best movies ever made.
I'm trying to think. I think it was made like during the 1940s.
Oh wow, kind of jumped it up in age. Well, I mean, if I spoil things from that, the movie's been so old. It's like, you know, you've probably heard a thing or two about it. And if you're into movie culture, you would have probably watched it already. And if you aren't into movie culture, then you're probably never gonna watch it. So, but anyway, with the whole thing is that there was this one scene when Neo, it's just Neo. I'm pretty sure you can
I
figure out
know
who
who
he is.
Neo is.
Yeah,
Ian, come on.
yeah. So, Neo's in the park, and Agent Smith it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Agent Smith.
Agent Smith is walking to him, and he's saying like, "Oh, we are the same. We are a part of one another," and he's explaining at the same time why. Because he's like, I just got this feeling when I was fighting you that we are one and the same. When this and that. And it's like, I don't know what philosophy you're talking about, dude. Like, it's so dang confusing.
That doesn't sound like philosophy. That just sounds like nonsense.
It's philosophy for the Matrix. It really is just nonsense. And then after that, there's just like this action sequence that is so awesome to see because it's hilarious. It's literally just Neo fighting Agent Smith and Agent Smith creating more clones of himself, and it's just like it feels like it could be a hack and slash game because Neo is just against like hundreds of Agent Smiths, knocking them down one by one like it's a game of bowling, and he's just hitting all the pins. It's absolutely hilarious, and it goes on for a decently long time, but it's so dang entertaining. I didn't have a problem with that. The best way to sum up this movie is the first like 30 minutes are just straight up action, pretty much, or like first 20 or 30 minutes are straight up action. Then you get to the philosophy stuff, sort of, that makes no sense whatsoever. Then you kind of just get to back into the Matrix, them trying to basically becomes a search journey, and then it gets to the ending when then one of the things that happened in the beginning, Neo now has to confront. You could split the movie into like four parts, essentially. Not really. It's hard to really categorize it in a three-act structure. To be honest, it
Um,
feels more like it's four parts. Um,
I'm just gonna say this. If you can somehow like re-edit the movie and like skip all the nonsense parts that I don't need to know because
And it's just
it
gonna be the
sounds like
complete action stuff.
yeah, if you can send me that, then I'll watch it. But
I don't
I
know.
don't like.
Maybe we should dedicate a day to just watching like The Matrix and then Reloaded and Revelations.
Oh my god, it sounds like I'm gonna hate it, and I'm gonna be
Me and you
really
together,
angry.
like we're in the same room watching it together, making fun of it and just kind of laughing about it.
Okay, then you know what? That might work. That'll
That
be
makes it's
enjoyable.
always more bearable when you have someone to talk to with about movies, and
Okay.
especially when watching one. It's always good to have a buddy with you. I've learned that when watching movies. So,
Oh my god.
but
I've
Matrix
sat through
Reloaded,
so many bad movies. It's just
so have
oh my
I.
god.
But the Matrix Reloaded, I will say here's the best way I could describe all the first two Matrixes. I haven't seen Revelations yet. I want to finish. I want to finish Reloaded fully through. Although I've seen other bits and parts of it that make no sense. Uh, so I know enough about the movie, but I want to really like dissect it and watch it, see why it doesn't flow. So I technically know how the movie ends, and I know Revelations, but I want to see them fully through just to satisfy my
Okay.
movie needs, basically, or my critic in me, I guess. Really see if it's as bad. And with The Matrix Reloaded, The Matrix is a good movie. But The Matrix Reloaded, it may not be great, but it's worth seeing in my opinion. Just from what I've heard, skip Revelations. I'm still gonna watch it, and then I'll tell you my opinion on that after. But Reloaded so far, it's kind of worth watching for some of the weird things that it has and kind of the insane things that it has. Oh yeah, and then there's that one scene that's just supposed to be this like religious ceremony of some sort, but they kind of just start like dancing randomly while Neo and Trinity are just having sex in another room, and it's so weird. It's so
So
awkward and
like a
weird.
club? Are you telling me there's a club scene in The Matrix?
It's not a club scene, it's a religious ceremony.
Wait. Is this like a cult scene? Sort of like Eyes Wide Shut?
Kind of, actually.
Oh my god, what is this movie? Now I have to watch. What?
It's so good. We need to watch it together. We need to plan a day and then just watch it together because it's kind of entertaining and funny to see, especially in a movie that has a lot of religious themes to it.
Religious themes with a scene with Eyes Wide Shut stuff in it.
Yes,
Okay.
I mean the first Matrix had a lot. A character named Trinity. You have like the chosen one who's supposed to save everyone from something. I mean that's kind of something that comes from a lot of religious texts and whatnot. You have the ship that they're on is called the Nebuchadnezzar, which is a literally ripped from the Bible. So
Mhm.
is Zion, sort of, but it is inspired by that. There's just a lot of religious themes in the Matrix. It's almost insane.
All right. Well, here's
Literally,
how I'll
Neo
end.
being
Here's
risen
how I'll
back
end
from the
this.
dead for no apparent reason. Just really,
I'll end it like this. I like The Matrix because it was a movie that encompassed a story. It was
yes.
literally like the metaphysical like storytelling. So like Neo was literally the one, the chosen one.
If
It's
you
like
switch around the words from Neo, it spells one.
it's literally a cliche chosen one story, and that's exactly it fits the story because it's the Matrix, and the
Yeah,
Matrix is fake, and therefore him being the chosen one and it being cliche was done on purpose because the Matrix is not real life.
yeah. Do you want to know what was the worst part about from what I've seen of much of Matrix Revelations and Matrix Reloaded? Do you want to know what was the worst part about it?
What?
It could have saved itself.
What's it?
Matrix Revelations and Reload. It could Matrix Revelations. There was a few scenes in there, and if they just went a different direction, it could have saved not only Revelations but even Reloaded.
Hmm.
Because it's just what it is. But I'll explain it at when we're after our break. So Alrighty, we're back. So back to what I was saying. What the one thing that the Matrix could have done to save itself was that there was this one part that if you that like basically Neo is in the real world. He's outside the Matrix,
Okay.
and he for some reason had this power to not only see at blind. He's blind, but he can still technically see, almost like Daredevil, except much more religiously tied. But
What? That doesn't make any
he also like
sense.
stop he also stopped the robots with like just almost like with the force. And it seems out of nowhere that he can do that. And it seems so confusing, and it's like, this is real life. How is he doing that? And by the end of the movie, it was explained, yes, that was real life.
Oh my god.
But do you want to know what could have saved it?
If they said it was in the Matrix, then that would work.
Yes, it would have saved Reloaded because it would have explained all kind of the crap that happened in that movie and all the kind of the bad stuff that was in it. And then with Revelations, it would have also saved it because it's like they're just stuck in another Matrix, a backup Matrix made to be able to, if people thought they woke up, they're really not and they're still being used. It really could have saved the movie. But because then it would have explained so much crap that made no sense. And it could have explained quite a lot, actually. But, nope. As to put it how I've seen the Nostalgia Critic video on this after I kind of looked into the Matrix movies a little bit. But to put it like Nostalgia Critic did, he's just Jesus.
You know,
So,
just to segue, something else that didn't make sense to me at all after you like give some time and thought into it was Flash, season 3. I didn't like it.
Flash. You know, I was wondering when I'd ever bring up that topic to you.
Did you
Or
did you did
whenever
you
we'd
like my
talk about it.
segue?
Yes, I did. I did like your segue. Even though it felt a little bit forced. I did.
that may or may not have been the point.
Okay, you know, if it was the point, then that's what it is. But the Flash season 3, here's the best way I could put the Flash so far. Season 1 was great. Season 2 was even better in my opinion, but I could see people not liking it as much. Season 3, in the beginning it was decent. I thought, okay, yeah, it's building up. It works sort of as a beginning. The middle, uh, the ending was okay. But the middle was just, I could basically think Legends of Korra season 2. Beginning was okay. Middle was just so bad it was really hard to bear through. And then the end of the season was, yeah, yeah, it's good. That's kind of the best way to describe it. It just, Flash season 3 just did not, the middle part, the middle of season 3 made me hate Barry. Actively hate him as a character.
Okay, here's my problem because this is I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
you're playing, you're playing the father wolf, son.
Okay, so here's the
Not
thing.
angry
Okay,
at
I,
you.
I
I'm
see what
disappointed.
the writers were doing, and they could have executed season 3 well, and you see the gems, but it just didn't. It just failed the landing. So let me explain. So season 1
Yeah.
was from the past. So the threat was in the past. It was Eobarthon, and then season
Well, that
two.
was the future, actually.
Yeah, no, but like he went into the past and mentored Barry. Like it was all from the past.
Yeah.
And then season 2 was a present danger, Zoom. And
And now they're
now they're
focusing
doing
on a
the
future
future.
danger.
See, that would be an excellent storytelling thing. But they messed it up because they just made stuff up.
But wouldn't Eobarthon technically be a future danger because he's from the future?
Well, yeah, but like the if you notice, like they were in season 1, spoilers for Flash season 1. He went back in time and then he took over Harrison Wells' body and then he was stuck in the past.
Yeah.
And like the way I see what they were doing with season 3 is you can see like past, present, future,
Yep.
and it's that I think that's what they were going for in terms of structure. Because if that's the case, then it makes a lot of sense. And if that's not the case, then what a coincidence. Anyway, so season three. In the
Yeah.
beginning, there was Flashpoint, and I think the first problem I see is that they should have extended Flashpoint.
I will say right now, I hated the end of season two just because, in my opinion, I thought Flash finally overcame, and spoilers for season two as well, the ending. Flash finally overcame what he was sort of holding on to, which was his mother's death, and he finally accepted that it happened. And then, of course, well, yeah, his father kind of got axed off, which I would see very much affected you. But you should have learned from even before. I understand that that's a very bad thing to happen, but I think you should have learned from before that if you went back in time and screwed that and tried to do what you wanted to do in the first place multiple times in each season, it would have screwed up so much. And I thought he would have learned that and been like he would need to learn to accept the reality of his father's death through different means, not going back in time and screwing up what he already learned previously was going to be a bad idea.
Here's the thing, and here's the main thing: the writers of the show needed a quick cliffhanger.
They really did, but I thought it was so
Oh,
bad.
and back to season three. You could really tell that other people directed like separate episodes
Oh yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
there are things that came about throughout the episodes that are like Deus ex machina. Like what? How? Where did this come from? And oh my god! All right, let's explain one thing. The Philosopher's Stone.
In Harry Potter?
Wait, that's what it's called, right? In the Flash, the Philosopher's Stone.
I don't remember what it was
It was
called. I actually did not remember the stone until you just brought it up.
it was the rock that like
Fractured and Savitar?
yeah, that thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did not remember it until I remembered Savitar. I just didn't remember The Rock.
Okay, so here's the
I
thing.
did not remember Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
So here's the thing. The rock, the Philosopher's Stone. Where did it come from?
I don't remember. Speed Force?
Because it's calcified Speed Force, which makes no sense because like that. How do you calcify Speed Force? And the other thing is, um, if you like cover the stone with this like ancient artifact, Savitar is powerless. But like if you take it out, he is, and he can enter into people's minds and beat them up psychologically somehow. Just and then that's never explained why. Just Speed Force, and then
Yeah.
just ah oh god, it just doesn't make any sense.
It also slightly got on my nerve that it was another speedster we were dealing with, but
Oh my
I didn't have
god.
as
Oh
much of
my
a problem with that as
god. It
most
was
people
like
did.
season one, oh cool, a speedster. Season two, oh okay. I would have been annoyed that it was another speedster, except the conflict was slightly different. Instead of it being like, it's just Barry had to like run faster. It was more like Barry was purposely running slower because of situations.
I think it was also that the villain himself was actually pretty interesting.
I
Somewhat.
it might just have been the voice. I think the voice was really good. I wish I had a voice like that.
I kind of like how they introduced Jake Eric as well.
Yeah.
Well, I felt really bad for him once I found out that that was Jake Eric in the cell. I was like, oh my gosh, no! Why did you keep him in there?
Spoilers.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they expect spoilers at this point. Meanwhile, we said it twice. I'm pretty sure now most people would expect this is a spoiler-filled podcast.
No, I swear, if there's like a bunch of comments like spoilers,
I'll literally put it in the title: The Flash. Spoilers ahead.
no, put it in the description. It'll be
Spoilers
mean that way.
speeding into your
Oh my
podcast.
god. Oh my god. Yes, put that in the description. Yes,
I
yes, yes.
will. Spoilers speeding into your podcast. That's great. It's a great name.
Okay, and here's what I think for the ending, okay?
Okay. Season 3?
Season 3 ending. Okay. So, how is Savitar defeated?
Pretty much with almost love, it felt like.
So, here's what happened. Savitar revealed himself as Barry from the future. But not really
Sort
because
of.
it's a
Wasn't he like a
it's a
time
time
aberration?
remnant.
Yeah, time remnant.
And you know what that means?
If he
If
doesn't
it's
do
a
what's needed for him to
No, no,
come and
no, no, that's
appear,
not it. If
uh,
he's a time remnant, then why does he have the memories of Barry?
time remnant. If I remember correctly, time remnants do have those memories, right?
No, they have the previous memories, but like, at what point did Barry go back in time and make Savitar?
It's in the future that he meets Avatar.
When? Because
They did explain it. I do remember them explaining it, but I don't remember how. But I
all
remember
right.
they did have a sort of time to explain how Savitar was made.
One more thing. Okay, so future Barry Allen can remember things from the past, right?
Yes.
But when you go into the future, that future Barry doesn't know what's going on from his past. What?
What the crap? Oh, sorry.
Stop cursing, Ian.
It's not really much of a curse.
It's a family friendly show.
A family friendly show where we made sexual jokes in the last episode. Of course. Sexual jokes about a Big Mac.
Family show.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're talking about a show that curses in and of itself.
Do they? I don't remember.
Minorly.
Oh,
But they
okay.
do it every now and then, minorly, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So, like, why doesn't he remember then? Because
Plot
plot. That's
convenience.
why. Oh my god. And you know what? If they revealed Savitar earlier, then I think it might have the landing they would have landed because like think about like that. Like, forget about the whole like storytelling aspect of it because clearly it doesn't make sense. Just turn your brain off. But imagine just imagine what the conflict would be. Barry can't do anything because future Barry will remember everything he did.
Yeah.
So literally, Barry would have to be in the sidelines while everyone else does everything. So he would be
An-
really useless because everyone would be doing and solving his problems that he created.
Another problem that would arise is okay, and this is just in general with Barry going into the future and interacting with his future self. Wouldn't his future self remember everything, so he knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, like what is
So can't the future self then prevent that past self from wait a second. It's a paradox now.
stupid?
It now becomes a paradox. Because if the future self then prevents the past self from doing anything, then the past self will try something different. The future self will always remember. And it will keep remembering, no matter how much the past self tries to do something. But then, if the past self never gives up, if he never gives up and keeps trying to do something in the future, then there's a lot of things that are screwed.
Yep. And what? I'll just go quickly to Legends of Tomorrow. Like, there was a crossover, like a four-way crossover episode.
There's literally going to be one every season. They announced that.
Yeah, I know. Did you remember when there was like a recording of Future Barry?
Yeah.
So apparently that was supposed to be like a warning for Savitar.
Yes. I know that.
Uh, no,
What do you
because
mean by no?
if Barry wanted to say that, he should have said it outright.
So is Barry attacking himself?
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't.
Like, I mean, as I was watching the show, it made sense, but then I was like, wait a second. What about this? And then it all fell apart.
Yeah. Well, speaking of falling apart, we have to stop our podcast for a break. Okay, so we're back for our break from our break, And so, okay, one of the things that annoyed me about Flash when I said that like season 3 and in the middle of season 3, it made me hate Barry. It's because Barry became such an
A jerk.
yeah, yeah. I was trying to really think of the words because one other word almost came out. Which is again
Family friendly show.
sure. So, but like it just he became such a jerk, and I was like,
Wait, what do
I
you mean
actively
specifically?
hate you.
Tell me a specific scene.
Like Wally does something that it was good. He was like he did something that was great. Everyone was like, "Yeah, you did it. You saved this thing." And Barry was just like, "No, you couldn't have got yourself killed." And it was like, "Dude, come on." And he was really angry, hating on like everyone in that instance. And he just looked like he was just wanting to kill something.
You know what that is?
It was jealousy, wasn't it?
No, no. This
No.
is back to the writer's table. They were trying to make it so that Barry seemed like the bad guy, so you can understand why he became Savitar.
It absolutely, I hated it. It felt so against his character.
All right, and one more thing that I want to add, and I agree with you, total 100%, because he's done
Yeah.
other things, like he tried to marry Iris solely because he saw that Iris didn't have a ring,
A wink. Okay.
um, and so he married her just for that. No,
That was also, yeah, that was intentionally supposed to be like that. Like, they intentionally did that, but that still felt
that was
like,
so forced and contrived. Anyway, going
yeah.
back. Okay, so
That was
here's
the
the thing.
intention. I think the intention was to make you really hate him for that in some way.
So like let's
But,
question something really big in
but,
this entire thing.
in the Flash thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
Savitar. Why is he the
Yeah.
way he is?
I actually forgot why he was like the way he was. I
Okay,
don't think it was ever truly explained well,
so
was it?
he was a time remnant, and
Yes.
so now there are two berries. And
Yeah.
now that there were two berries, the team didn't like that berry.
I'm sorry, I prefer strawberries, thank you very much.
Wow, that
That
was
was the team. I prefer strawberries over actually no, Saboteur's blue. I prefer that blueberry over you strawberry. There we go.
ooh. I
Perfect.
didn't realize how clever that was.
What
All right, no, okay.
was that? What was that noise I just made?
So they shunned that berry, the time remnant berry, and then he became evil.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the origin story.
That doesn't seem like the group at all. That does
What? Really? The group that brought Barry. You know what? You know what would have been cool? Two flashes that save Central City twice as fast,
Yeah.
twice as effective.
Nah, we already have Wally for that, who's still in training.
Oh my god. Oh, and you know what? One more thing, and before we end it, is that there's too many characters, too many speedsters.
There really is. I'm pretty sure there was like 7. There was Flash, there was Jake Eric, there was Zoom, there was Wells. Well, the Eobotharn.
Eobarthania,
Yeah. Then there was you have Jesse Quick.
Savitar,
Yep. Did I
technically.
already mention Wally?
Yeah, you mentioned Wally. I think.
Did I?
We'll see during post.
Okay. Well, if I didn't mention Wally, then Wally. And then you have the reverse
The
Zoom
rival.
guy that was in Legends.
This is the same
So,
guy. But yeah.
but technically,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I know what you mean.
considered different characters. So and there's so many, and they really need to stop that. Do you want to know what I really want to see more of?
What?
I want to see more of, and everyone could call me crazy for this. I want to see more of Barry and Supergirl together, because honestly, I feel like they work
Ugh.
really well together as characters.
I do
But that's
not
my
like
personal opinion.
Supergirl.
Yeah, you've expressed that before, but I like the Supergirl show, and I feel like Supergirl herself works well with Barry, and I think they make a better couple than Barry and Iris do.
Okay,
If
you know
I'm
what?
being
I'll agree
straight
with
honest.
that. Barry and What was her name?
Supergirl or Kara.
Kara. Kara and Barry have much better chemistry than honestly anyone else in the show.
I also
Um,
really like that musical episode because that just kind of got to me because I grew up with watching some musicals like Wizard of Oz and whatnot. So it just kind of got to me, and I'm like, yeah, I really like it. It's just kind of it made me feel a little bit giddy, especially seeing them in that type of role, trying to get out. I really like that.
it was
But
basically just like
yeah,
an episode of Glee, which I liked. And it
they were
was
both
more.
from
It was
Glee.
more like to me that was harmless. Like
They were both from Glee, weren't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I know some people didn't like it because some people didn't. Mostly because they wanted to know more about the story. But
Yeah.
it was harmless. It was a filler episode. But
Yeah.
here's the thing about Supergirl, really, to me,
Okay.
is and I heard that it got progressively better with it, but
Oh,
basically
it's by season two. By the end of season two, it was a lot better, a lot more interesting.
was that Supergirl is like the embodiment of this like girl power mentality, and that's fine, but
They
like
hit it a little bit too much on the
it's
nose.
way too on the nose. Like how like there are those like environmental like shows or like in those environmental messages.
Yeah, and they really hit it home.
They hit it way too far. It's
They hit
so
it
on the
past home.
nose.
They hit it all across the world.
Like literally, okay, I like the character, but the writing is atrocious because it's all like every single episode is a message, and the characters are out of character just to fulfill that message, and it gets annoying. So,
Yeah, I could see where they become out of character every now and then. Flash has that same problem though.
and
I feel like all those DC like shows have that same problem where the characters just randomly end up out of character.
no, you know what that is? That's the CW, where like
That's just the CW effect. All the
honestly,
characters just end up being
the only
completely out
reason
of character.
the only reason you know no, let me reword this. It's a CW show when the entire group lies to each other. Literally, okay, literally in season 3 of Flash,
I know.
they're like, okay, no more lies. That like two episodes, they all just started lying again.
Why stop at two episodes? We can have the next episode.
Okay, but back to Supergirl.
Uh,
It's just too, and I don't mind the message. It's just that it's just too much, and
they
I'm
do hit it home too hard. I will say that, but to me, some of the other things in the show never like in the sense that like they pulled me out of it a little bit more. Like they never like some of them never got me too like okay, so the whole kind of theme with that with hitting it too hard on the nose is definitely there, but some of the other things in the show mitigated that for me, I guess.
like what?
Like seeing, and you could disagree with me on this, but seeing stuff like Jimmy Olsen kind of become his own type of hero that wants to save, I kind of like that, and I feel like that in that kind of smaller story arc for me feels like it mitigates it a little bit because it's not because like the show's not just centering around then one group of people saving the day constantly. It shows that there are other people of different, not only different gender but different ethnicities that want to help as well, and they're giving them the spotlight in that sense.
Are you praising Supergirl for making Jimmy Olsen black?
Honestly, I never felt it was wrong for the character to be. Personally, I'm a firm believer of if the actor is right for the role, then go for it. If they saw he was right for the role, then that's fine. I don't. I will say I do not know Jimmy Olsen from the comics. I never read the Superman comics because
Yeah,
I
me
was just never a
neither.
fan of
So
those.
I wouldn't know if that was the character or not.
For the character that they created for Supergirl,
I
though,
didn't mind the character of Jimmy Olsen, but like every episode or every 2 episodes, there's always that speech that like the CW always does.
that's just in every CW show. It feels like.
It's I don't know. For some reason, I felt like all the CW tropes like really was really there in the show, and I really didn't like it.
Yeah,
But if that's like all gone by like the end of season 2 or like the beginning of season 3, then I'll watch it again.
I don't it's been a bit since I've seen the last few episodes. I don't remember if it really was ended like that, but what I do remember is that one of my favorite characters in the show, which is Monel, he starts becoming more of a as the show progresses, he starts becoming a stronger character, and you really see how good he is of a like at least how good he is in terms of like in the show, like he really wants to do what he can, and he
Hmm.
becomes a really interesting character, in my
Isn't
opinion.
spoilers for Supergirl? I've seen I've seen season 2. He's the Daxamite, right?
Yes,
Okay,
so
alrighty.
I really do like his character, and I like seeing him do what he's just trying to help. That's all he wants to do. By like the end of it, he wants to help. He wants to be someone that is just a helper. He wants to be like kind of what Supergirl is. And so, and I kind of see like I kind of like his character for that because he's trying to do is change what he originally was, which I always appreciate it when a character is trying to do that in a show, when they're trying to change who they were in the from the past and really fix themselves, as
Mm-hmm.
that's something personally that I'm going through right now. On a personal level, I'm doing that. So changing what I kind of was in the past. So
Alrighty,
I relate to him on a personal level for that. I
alright.
guess that's why I like his character a lot.
I don't know. It's just I just takes me too out of it. Like,
I will say I don't think Supergirl, even though with all kind of the things that we've mentioned that are some problems, I don't think it's as bad as Arrow. I think Arrow really tanked
ooh,
hard.
Arrow. Oh no.
I'll put it.
Oh.
I'll say it right now. Arrow is Batman, as you said, Batman before, like before the podcast. He's Batman with a bow. That's all he is. Literally, they're taking plots from Batman and then just giving them to Arrow because they don't have the rights to Batman.
Now here's the thing. Season 1 and season 2, like if you take away that aspect, like if you know it's like clearly it's just Batman. Um well, I really liked season 1 and season 2 because it was so not like Batman. Because Oliver would kill people, and then
Yes.
like there
Well,
were like,
technically, Batman has on a few
yeah, I
occasions.
know, but like you know what I mean. Like that's
That
not the
he doesn't have a moral code to not do that.
yeah. And like and then he didn't kill anyone. He stopped killing people not because, he became morally righteous, but because he realized, "Oh, my friend died." And, just to honor his death, no more death. If that makes sense.
That just seems kind of weird.
Yeah, I know it does, but like it works in the show. But then season 3 happens, and oh man, the writers before said they didn't want to add magic in, because that it would become too contrived. And
They did.
oh man, they were right. They shouldn't have put magic in there, because you see, the Green Arrow is a street hero. So if you pit a street hero against like League of Assassins and magic and whatnot, oh man, this show goes downhill.
Yeah.
It was bad. I know you didn't watch it, so this makes no sense to you.
No, I had my mom explain to me what was going on in Arrow when she watched it.
It was, oh my god.
She
Spoilers
she
for
stopped watching it herself because she got really out of it. And then one thing in Flash came up at like the end of season 2, and she's like, "I need to get back into watching Arrow now," because it shocked her.
ah. And so like I'll end it here. Basically, what happened was, um, they were setting up Legends, and
Yeah.
like in doing so, they totally ruined Arrow.
Legends is a decent show.
Legends is a decent show. I'm not gonna say I loved season 1, but for what it is, which is basically a show like Doctor Who
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
with like
Season 2
superheroes.
got dark though.
Season 2 definitely got dark. I liked season 2, especially the villains. With
The
Damien
the
Dark.
the scenes when they were like when they started trying to torture who is it, Rick or
Yeah,
Rip? Yeah, when they
Rip
started trying to torture him, that was like, jeez.
was an
Ugh.
experience.
Yeah. Alrighty, but we are out of time for right now. We have to take our break, and we'll be back. So be right back. Alright, so we're back, and frankly, we forgot about what we were talking about previously. So, most we know is that we were talking about the DC CW shows. So now, we're gonna switch topics to movies, comic book movies, like DC's and Marvel's. So, where do you want to start from there?
Um, DC is digging its own grave in terms of its movies. Except,
Yeah.
hold on. Except for Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman
I haven't
is,
seen the movie,
in
by the
my
way. I haven't seen the movie. Don't
you
even.
I
I
will
okay.
say right now, it is possibly, in my opinion, one of the best superhero movies that I've seen come out this entire decade.
Including the Marvel Universe?
Marvel Universe has been tanking, in my opinion. It's been
Really?
yes. I
Interesting.
absolutely am starting to really not like the Marvel Universe more recently, and that also includes like TV shows and whatnot. But if you even if you exclude that, I think that they are not doing great.
Have you um have you seen Agents of Shield?
I liked season 4,
What was season 4 again?
Ghost Rider.
Ah, okay. Here's my thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its TV shows. Because it's all connected, whatever plot the movie has, the TV show has to like work its
Incorporated
way
some way.
around it.
Yeah.
So like for example, Hydra was a part of the Agents of Shield, and I
Hmm.
guess they didn't tell the TV producers that was going to happen because the entire premise of the show totally like gone.
Yeah.
And that's all because I haven't watched too many Marvel Cinematic Universes, mostly because I have a lot of catching up to do, and
Yeah.
I really don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, after Avengers 2, it kind of does okay. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was great. I liked it more than the first. I have yet to see Spider Man Homecoming, but from what I'm hearing from people who are fans of Spider Man, it's not great.
Hmm.
I'm hearing from reviewers that it's great, but I'm hearing from people who like Spider Man and know the comics that it's pretty bad.
Huh.
And for me personally, I know I from my reviewer side's gonna think one thing, but my nerd side's gonna scream at the other side and scream at me for even thinking that that movie will be okay because I already know how much it changes and it makes me angry.
You know,
But like,
this reminds me of a debate that we used to have. Well, not we specifically, just like in general, people used to
yeah,
have. Which do you prefer, Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield?
how so?
Just in general, like I compare. Which one do you like better?
I like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. I like Andrew Garfield's Spider Man. In the end, if I'm going to see a Spider Man movie, I want to see Spider Man do some Spider Man y things. So Andrew Garfield is who I prefer because of that.
Interesting.
Simple as that. I think his Peter
Wow.
Parker is meh. It's too much of like, oh, I'm the cool skater boy look. It
Well, here's
gets.
the problem is that the nerd look, the nerd stuff suddenly became cool in our age. Like back then, what you would get beat up in school for is totally cool now.
Yeah, it pretty much is. And I get maybe that's where the big divide comes from. Because when I see older fans, I do see them not understand. Because like I thought Peter Parker in Amazing Spider-Man, I thought he was meh, but I didn't think it didn't fit. If that
I
makes any
agree, I agree, I
sense.
agree, I agree. Yeah.
Like I think it fits. It's just not the nerdy Peter Parker I grew up with. But I when I saw it, I'm like, it's not the nerd. It's not Peter Parker that I know, but it fits nerdy. That's
Hmm.
how it seemed for me. We come from a different generation than the older comic book fans. The older comic book fans think one thing, we think another. So it never felt out of place for me. But my comic book love certainly felt more strong with Tobey Maguire being Peter Parker. But if we're going off what nerdy is now, yes, Andrew Garfield does fit that.
Here's my distinction. How I divide these movies is that I agree with you that Tobey Maguire is more of the like because it's a different setting. Like it was back then when the nerd was not something that you want to be, and then
Yeah.
so I like that Peter Parker mostly because there was actually some conflict with that because it was sort of like an underdog story where it's like someone who isn't that like cool or like hip getting these
Yeah.
powers and becoming someone better than he would have been.
Mhm.
Um, in the new movies, or it's not new because there's Homecoming. In the Garfield movies,
Yeah.
they didn't really focus on the nerdiness, which was a good idea because there's nothing to focus on. Instead, it was a relationship about him and Stacy.
Let's be real here, Gwen Stacy's so much better than Mary Jane, and if you compare the two.
Exactly, I agree. So I would say that it's like comparing apples and oranges because I feel like this Spider-Man is like the Spider-Man that like you know how it's hard to explain, but basically if you combine the two characters together, you would get the actual Spider-Man character.
You're basically just splitting one side or another. Almost like, and everyone's gonna hate me for making this kind of, or some people will. It's almost like if you took I'm just thinking Danny Phantom now. If you took Danny's sort of school side and then took his ghost side and you just split them, which actually was a plot of one of the episodes.
Yes, yes
Diehard
it
Danny
was.
Phantom fan right here, so you know.
You better not just like talk about Danny Phantom 24/7 on the podcast.
Every time we do a podcast, first thing I say is gonna catch him all because he's Danny Phantom.
I would hate you.
I'm not
I
gonna
would
do that
literally end this
24/7.
podcast.
I'm not gonna do that all podcast, or I probably won't even do that any podcast other than this one, or if we ever get to the topic again about like Nickelodeon shows of some sort. But I just love Danny Phantom, although he is strikingly similar to Peter Parker in
A lot
a
of
lot of
ways.
ways.
Yeah. So the a couple of distinctions that I wanted to say was, uh, that you know the before I'll label it before and after. So before nerdiness, after it wasn't really focused as much since you know it it was a different era, and then
Are you talking
before
about the movies or the comic books at this point?
the movies. Just I'm strictly talking movies.
Because you're starting to sound like the comics. Before Peter was all nerdy, and then after he was bit, he was kind of more of the Spider-Man that we see in the Andrew Garfield movies.
Well, when I say before, I mean the Maguire movies, and then after, I mean Garfield
Yeah,
movies. Okay.
or you
Just
could distinguish it by director, which is Sam Raimi versus Mark Webb.
nah, I don't want to do
All
that.
right.
That's no, no. Maguire's movie had a lot of campiness to it, so you wouldn't take it too seriously. Um,
Yeah. Although, if you read the what was supposed to be the plot of the fourth and fifth and even sixth Spider-Man movie after that, it was going to get depressing and really dark.
I mean, they already went full edge with Black Spider-Man, like full on edginess.
You want to know something? I
What?
recently saw a video about Spider-Man 3 and the
Okay.
whole stupid Peter Parker emo thing with
Oh
him
my
being
God.
like walking down the street doing the snapping and all that.
Uh huh.
I see that through a different lens now, and I see it works.
What? No, 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 no. Listen,
No, let
this
me
is
explain.
no, 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 no. Listen,
Let me
Ian. No,
explain. Give
listen,
me
Ian. Your emo-ness is starting to ruin my movies, okay?
no. I can explain how it works. From Peter's
Fine.
perspective, what would he see as cool?
Isn't he an adult?
I mean, let's be real here. He's made no character development pretty much throughout all
Are
three of
you
those
saying
movies.
that he hasn't changed ever since he was in high school?
Pretty much. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because in the movies, I never felt like he changed at all as a character.
So
So,
he tried to be cool.
that's what he would see as cool. Coming from a nerd's perspective, he could just kind of do that type of stuff and all that other stuff. I mean, the bar scene is pretty much, you can't really make an argument for that being good. It's not. But there's an understanding that that was his idea of cool, and it wasn't, well, it really wasn't cool. But that's what he perceived as cool.
No, just no. Listen,
Just no.
if they wanted to do that,
Oh, wow.
then you could have done it so many different ways. Why was
They
there
could have.
such garbage music? As if they knew. They knew this is.
They definitely could have done it better, but I see where the idea was coming from.
Was that the original? Like, was that the intent?
The original intent of the movie was never to even have Venom in it in the first place.
No, no, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, was that the like when they did that scene? Do you know? Was that the intent?
They never said anything about it.
Good, because if that was the case, if that's what they wanted, then they would have said it. But they didn't because
You never
that's
know if they did or not then. They could have just not talked about it because they knew the movie was absolutely garbage.
all right. Okay,
But I
here's
personally
how
do
I see it. Okay,
believe.
here's how I see it. Okay,
Uh,
he goes in and he goes into a bar. He gets wait. Does he get drunk? I'm trying to
no,
remember.
he doesn't. He just
He
starts
does not.
playing the piano.
He just starts playing the piano. He doesn't even get drunk. Isn't he trying to be cool?
Yeah, he is. And he wasn't cool. He was just being a jerk.
Well,
But I will
if
never
you're a
forget that
nerd,
iconic line. Now dig on this. It's going down in the books next to I Am Your Father. Mm, so good.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Most people do.
I try and forget. Listen, I don't. No, I don't agree. It was a bad scene. It was a bad movie.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It was a bad scene and a bad movie, but I could see where they were. At least I think that's what they were trying to do, and I can see that.
All right, you know
It
what?
just wasn't executed well.
No, I'm gonna be stubborn on this. I don't care.
Oh, this is something we have two different opinions on.
No, 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 no. Listen, if
There
they
was no
wanted,
way they tried to make that scene good.
that's not how it worked. You know who did it, right? You know who shot that scene?
Who was it?
McGuire.
Oh, he was actually directing that scene?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure. You know what I think it was? I think it was all like I wouldn't say it was like ad libbed. It was supposed to be something that they thought was funny, but wasn't.
It's just cringy.
It was just really cringy.
Oh, come on, man. There's no scene that is cringy in that movie. Especially that patriotic American flag
Oh my
behind them.
god, the patriotic American flag. Just like the Jesus symbolism.
This is why I think The Amazing Spider-Man was a little bit better. It took itself more seriously, and that's kind of what I wanted to see. Although, to be fair, the second movie did have its fair share of problems. The
I
third
think
movie
they
also
had
had
too
a
many.
problem.
I think their villains were. I think that's like a problem with a lot of the movies, superhero movies nowadays, is that their villains are not as good as their heroes.
But the thing is, they have so much time to dedicate to the heroes, and then they have sequels to add on top of that. While the villain, for the most part, it's just one villain in that one movie, and that's it. I mean,
So are you
that's
saying
just
it's
kind of how it
basically
works.
like villain of the movie? I mean, not villain of the movie, villain of the week
Yes,
kind of storytelling.
exactly.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Because there's very few villains that come back every now and then throughout a movie series. There's only a few occasions when that happened with Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man movies. He
Hmm.
was a developing villain, so you got through the three movies, so you got to know his character, and he became much more of a compelling villain when he kind of became one in Spider-Man 3, even if it wasn't that great. You kind of know where he's coming from, and you kind of know that type of situation. Even Loki in the Marvel movies, he was in multiple. I believe he was in Thor. He was in Thor 1, he was in Avengers and Thor 2. But he had those movies to develop his character. So, you know, Okay, we're back.
We
So,
went
but
on quite a tangent with the Marvel Universe. We didn't talk about DC,
well, I mean, what's there to really talk about? DC's been tanking in movies,
except for
uh,
Wonder Woman.
except for Wonder Woman, and what's there to really say that we haven't already that no one's already haven't said? You know what I mean? That no one's already said before. I mean, yeah, we went on tangent with Spider-Man 3, but okay, yeah, I guess a lot of people have talked about that movie before. But I do want to talk about how the Marvel universe, in particular, the newest stuff, is kind of just not that great anymore.
I
Like, I
don't
don't think it
explain. What do you
works
mean? Because I haven't watched any of it. So
with stuff like okay, one of the movies I had a big complaint with was Civil War
interesting. Go ahead.
because I understand what Civil War is about. And I've read the comics. I like the comic Civil War. I do not like how it was done in I do not like how it was done in the movie. And honestly, I see a similar problem that Batman v Superman kind of suffered from, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
In that, okay, so with Batman v Superman, the problem was their ideologies were not too different enough,
Okay.
and they were. If you know, you've seen Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah, it was literally
There,
just a bunch. It was a hypocritical vigilante beating up another hypocritical vigilante.
yeah. Do you mind me spoiling Civil War?
What did Captain America die or something?
No,
Oh, who
no
died?
character. There was really like no characters that did. At least not important to the plot
Okay, spoil it. What happened?
that I remember. So the idea is Captain America does not want to be monitored by the government, and Tony Stark thinks that we should, or that the superheroes should, and that they should follow what the government tells them to do. Later in the movie, he completely disregards that. Like, he never believed that.
Ah,
And yet, that movie got like a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes, yet it had a similar problem that Batman v Superman had. Except in Civil War, he had that ideology, and he completely disregarded it for his own agenda.
I don't like that.
That was a superhero kind of needing thing. You see where people praise that movie, but that is a huge glaring issue that no one seems to point out. We have to be monitored by the government, except if I don't want to be. It's like, no, that's not what you argued for. That's not what you signed the contract for. You si-
I've never seen you so passionate about.
It angers me because literally, like, I like the DC movies. I genuinely do. But I see their flaws. And so do a lot of people, and I get that. But the Marvel movies, almost everyone acts like the Marvel movies are perfect, but they're not. They're being blinded, basically. You gotta see the movies for what they are. Not for, oh, it has this brand on it, it's obviously good. No, Civil War is not as good as everyone makes it out to be. In fact, actually, I would go as far as to say, because it has some similar problems with Batman v Superman, with that whole ideology thing, at least with, unlike Batman v Superman, where the ideologies were kind of similar to begin with Civil War, yeah, Tony Stark basically just broke that completely. Like, he disregarded it. It angers me because it's still a similar problem, just in a different light, basically. Like, it's like Tony Stark didn't care about his ideology at all. And that kind of angers me because then you're basically pulling a Batman v Superman. And no one's pulling attention to that. Or paying attention to that, I should say. And it just boggles my mind that people are so willing to overlook that. Because just because it has Marvel's name on it. So, and it just gets on my nerves. And again, I'm not saying the DC movies are that great, but like, they aren't that great. They're not awful either, I don't think. I don't think they're that awful. Except Suicide Squad. I like it, but I see it's awful. It's an awful movie. But I don't think Batman v Superman's awful. And I don't think Civil War is as great as everyone makes it out to be. I would go almost as far as to say Batman v Superman and Civil War are almost on par with each other. But Civil War technically has the characters that are a bit more strongly developed. In Batman v Superman, yes, Batman is a very well developed character, even in that. They get his character down fine. And they get everything down that needs to be about Batman. You get the motivation, you get all that, you get his character. Wonder Woman even has some decent character development, not much, but some decent one. Especially if you've seen Wonder Woman, it actually does help quite a lot. Which, if you watch Civil War, chances are you have seen those previous movies.
Huh.
So,
I'm just loving your
uh,
rant right now.
I'm sorry. It's just I get passionate about this. It really angers me that there's such this huge divide with this type of thing where Marvel can almost do no wrong, except in TV shows. They could do a lot of wrong in TV shows, and people realize that, especially with Inhumans recently. A lot of people hated that.
You know what I love?
When I rant,
I'm saying love with sarcasm
is it one?
is the amount of things movies sequelize.
Yeah.
I'll define it like this. When a movie sequelizes something, they set something up for another movie which totally just takes you out of the movie. And you know what? I'm going to do it right now. Ready? Are you ready for this? I'm going to sequelize something. You're very anti-discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next podcast, we're going to talk about your discrimination complex.